Well, hello there. I think I'll do another video, and this time I want to show a little bit about how I'm doing my scenery. Doing the next layer on top of the ground goop, which has already been placed, to bring it up to a level of grasses and small shrubs and foliage. This does not have any trees yet. This is just the layer of growing things that are at ground level. And you can see I've got an area here in the foreground where all I have thus far is the ground goop, which you can check for an article about ground goop on my website. Basically, I like to present a layer that's all just brown soil so that it looks reasonable and looks complete even without any green stuff on it. Of course, once we get the green stuff on this, you can see it's going to cover it, but not entirely. You can still see that dusty gray-brown color coming through in some areas, and that really does affect the color. It helps it feel a little more real and give it some depth and all. And I'm using a static flock grass over top of just general woodland scenics, fine ground foam, blended in with some coarse ground foam. And you can see I've got some areas where I've placed essentially a leaf litter. That's an area where there's going to be a clump of trees standing above that. I'll go ahead and kind of plan out those areas, and probably a lot of this area will end up being that way as well, because in this part of Virginia that I'm modeling, trees just want to grow anywhere and everywhere. So let's get started, and the first thing I need to do is to make up my glue mixture. I just use an old Elmer's glue bottle for this. You can see this is kind of beat up, but I'm almost out. You can see the level down here. So I'm going to mix up some more, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about a third of glue in there, a third of water, and a third of isopropyl alcohol, 70% alcohol, and then give it a good shake, mix it all up, and that'll be primarily what I'll use. I will also use a squirt bottle that just has isopropyl alcohol in it. You'll see when I get to that later, and that'll just help like pre-wet things and help the glue to flow in. But let's go ahead and get started by mixing up some of this. Alright, you can see the level there. I think we're good. That'll be enough for this. Let's get started. The first and most important thing is variety. I always just want to blend as many different colors and textures as I possibly can into that. And to help with that, I've basically found this fishing tackle box that I use as a ready-made scenery kit. I've got a whole bunch of different varieties of colors and textures, all the common things that I'm going to use. I might even have a few more that are in woodland scenic shakers, that kind of thing. But primarily this has got everything I need to work out of, and I'll just use this. It's really important that you have a wide variety of materials to work with, and not just one or two colors of green, but all the colors of green you can get your hands on. If you happen to go to a well-stocked hobby store, such as Hobbytown USA, where I like to shop, You may find they have products from a number of different manufacturers. We're all familiar with Woodland Scenics, and you may get stuff that comes in the big jars, and they have a fairly broad range, but all of their green colors tend to be a little bit on the warm side, i.e. a little bit more reddish or brownish in their tint. And can be good for some cases, but sometimes you need like a more darker blue if you're trying to do like a blue spruce or a holly leaf or something like that. A green that is more towards the cool side of the spectrum. And of course, then you may also have a need for some brighter green yellows, various different colors. And the different manufacturers all have different colors, of course, as well as different textures that you may find. And not just the difference between a ground foam and a static grass, but even the fineness of the grinding differs from different manufacturers. So go ahead and see what your hobby shop has, and go ahead and pick up a couple extra bags of this or that, and just build up yourself a wide array, a wide palette of different colors. You can see in my little kit here that I've got all sorts of different green colors, as well as some other colors that I'll use from time to time. And the first layer that's going to go down is just going to be green fine material, but let's go ahead and spray this, and that'll give it a little bit of tooth so that things aren't going to blow away. And I'm just spraying with water right now. The ground goop is going to soak that up, and the wet goop is just going to hold everything in place while we sprinkle it on. So I'll start with some medium greens, and I just take a pinch and roll it between my fingers. You could use a spoon if you want to, but I like the fine control of the fingertips. And I'm just kind of placing it in random locations. I might want to pay attention to like the gully that's coming down here. Water would naturally collect there, so I'll make that a little more green. And when I get to the heavier, thicker stuff, I'll put more weeds growing in there. But let's use a darker green for that area. And you notice I'm not covering everything. I'm just kind of getting it around. The static grass is going to cover a lot too. And I'm getting different colors, different varieties. I'll do a brighter, springier color. And I'm only going to work on an area about this big at one time. And then I'll move on to the other half of it here. So that's about, say, 6 inches square. That's about the area that you can reasonably keep wet at one time while you're working, and keeping that wet is going to help with the glue. So we might do some yellows up here where the water doesn't stay on the ground. It tends to drain away. So the grass up there is a little drier. And we'll do more greens down towards the base where the water is going to collect. And some darker greens where the water is likely to run. I think that's good enough for a first pass. Let's go ahead and spray that with some more water. Just kind of let it rain down on it so it falls on it. And now we can dribble on some ballast glue. Notice I said ballast glue because I use this same bottle that's labeled for ballast glue to do all my ballasting, same mix and everything. So we'll just go ahead and kind of let that soak into everything. And yes, it might move some stuff around, that's okay. We're kind of going to go over this with more layers. This is just our very first base layer. You can already see how it's rolling down there. So while that's all wet, let's put some more on top of that. Another bright green. Some freshly growing grass. Let it get carried down. I'm going to hold off on doing any of the coarse turf just yet. I'll wait till I get grass placed. Let's get this a little bit more soaked. Kind of want to see some white everywhere. So now it's really good and wet. Now it's time to break out the static grass applicator. I bought this a long while back. A lot of money. Let's put the fine screen on it. Apparently you can make these for pretty cheap out of a fly swatter, electric fly swatter and other components. I don't care. I'm getting my money out of it. I've used it for several years, like I said, and it works well. I just have a little spare piece of rail here that I use as my grounding rod. I'll touch that somewhere wet so that it's in the scene. Actually, I might go down here so I can start up here. You need to keep it really close down to the surface you're working on. Just tap it out. Actually, I had said I might have some stands of trees. Maybe I'll do more of a clump of trees around this area at the property line of this facility and leave this a little bit more clear. I might have a few individual trees, but let's do a leaf litter in this area.